So this is the noise to brain adapter NTBA from Leaf Audio. We've also got the outputs going into the Mode stethoscope, and I'm in mode 1, which is the first PWM mode. But before we get into that mode, the noise to brain adapter is a digital oscillator that does some clustered sort of harmonic stuff, clustered overtones, chiptune, PWM, frequency modulated stuff. We've got some FM, some different noise, and then we've got some different random switching CV trigger type stuff as well. So we're going to go through all the modes. So yeah, let's get stuck into it. PWM mode 1, the bottom output, output 2, is a sub, which you can see on the bottom of the scope. The top output is the square on top. And the top output, we can choose the pulse width and then the pulse width modulation with the A and the B knobs. So here's pulse width. You can see that on the scope. And then pulse width modulation amount. Sub. Nice and fat. Now we've got a CV input for pitch and a gate input that has a VCA style functionality that when we put a gate in, we can turn this thing on and off. So let's put in some pitch information. Let's turn this back up. Here's a sub first. And then the normal output, some pulse width modulation. Let's plug in the gate. So having gate modulation and different gate lengths in a sequence works really well. The free and the sync affects the LFO's reset that's actually doing the PWM. Let's go into PWM mode 2. This is a rotary switch, by the way. Again, we have a sub and a normal output. We've now got pulse width again and pulse width modulation. Let's leave those the same, just tune it up a little bit. And this is the difference between the first and the second PWM mode. Different LFO speed. Here's some pitch modulation again. Really rich and fat, especially through a filter. We've got the third pulse width modulation mode. Let's turn this one up. You can see this time that we've got LFO frequency and PWM amount. From nothing to full, and then the frequency. Let's get this up full, try some gate modulation, and then pitch CV. You can hear we're getting some extra overtones from this audio rate LFO. So, going into mode 4, this is the Chiptune mode, which has an arpeggiator and an ARP speed, and we can change those ARP overtones, what notes that's actually on. The second output is an octave lower, and here that is. And here's the main out. So the first control sets the ARP speed. And the bottom control sets the ARP overtones, which is the notes within the arpeggio. From nothing and this is just two notes bouncing back and forth. Let's mix in the sub. Plug in some CV and gate. suitably chiptune, as the name would suggest. Speed that up. Remove these, turn that down. This is the cluster mode. And in the cluster mode, we get pitch, as we always do, the cluster overtones and the cluster frequency. So here's the main out. Pretty gnarly sounding out. This is the cluster overtones. And then the cluster frequency. Nice arcade chiptune style sound again. Up into audio, super gnarly. Let's get some gate and CV going on. Some CV. Nice raspy sound. And this is the ramp mob mode. So turn up the main out. Have LFO frequency and LFO range. Here we've got a ramp wave modulating the pitch. And the range of modulation. And the frequency of the modulation. And this will go up to some FM-like ranges as well. Say the sub. Get some gate and CV going in. Some wide range on that. Again, some FM-like overtones. Let's lose the gate. So that's it for the chiptune, retro, gamey type sounds. Let's get into the FM and noise. So we're now in the FM mode. Gate and pitch do the same thing. We've still got the LFO reset. This was the ARP reset in those chiptune type modes, by the way. We've got pitch control. This is still the mode. The LFO frequency that goes into audio rate and the modulation amount. Let's turn up the main output and modulation depth. And then mod frequency on here. Turning down the main out a little bit. Let's get the sub out on output 2. Pitch this up a bit. Let's get a gate in. And some pitch. Some more noisy, nastier overtones in there, which sound great. Let's turn these down. And then this is the first noise mode. Turn the output 1 up. We've got different modes for the free and the sync. When this is up, it's the effector mount. We've got pitch, FM jitter, and PWM jitter. Let's check out the PWM jitter. You can see that's sending the PWM all over the shop. Let's try the FM jitter. With a sub. Just back the sub off, turn the main out up a bit, and turning the pitch up. Sort of digital noise. PWM jitter again, and FM jitter. Now, if we push this in, we get sample and hold rate, sample and hold sound modulation. And have that to the PWM. And this is sample and hold. Turning these down. Let's go into the second noise mode. Now we've got pitch and then 2 density controls. The 2 outputs are just 2 different outputs. Here's the first one. That's the density of the main out. This doesn't affect output 2, which I've fade up. So it's 2 noise sources, A controlling output 1, B controlling output 2, and we control the density of the digital noise. Here's output 1. And the pitch controls the rate. Again, you can see that there. So we can get white-like noise, grainier noise, and then pitch that down as well. Almost like vinyl crackle. So it's really nice in the background of a beat, stuff like this. Output 2, exactly the same. Pitch and F and noise density. So let's get into the CV modes, and I'll just set up a different patch to demonstrate this. So now in the last 3 modes, which are a sort of random switcher, a trigger cluster, which do like bouncing ball style sounds, and a trigger cloud. I've got my main outs going to trigger 2 different percussion sounds, and let's get a clock into this first mode, which is a switcher, and it switches between its 2 outputs. The first knob sets a division, so that's the clock coming in. And then the CV input will make this actually switch down to the next output. You see that switching as we go in and out. This can set an offset, and that offset makes this go down to output 2 rather than that one. So we can use this CV to switch between the outs. Again, this is the division of the clock. We can slow that down. And my clock's going into the gate input. So we've got random and hysteresis. The next mode is a trigger cluster. Now the gate will actually gate this on and off. We have a frequency control. We've got a cluster out and a gate out. This will turn off one-shot mode. And then we have speed, log to linear shaper, and the growth. Let's change the shape. And the growth rate. You can hear these decay differently. Hanging around the top more there. Get more of those faster gates and quickly decay in there. And that growth keeps this much well, it just sort of holds the sound and then quickly drops off. At lower levels, you get this nice bouncing ball style effect. And this is the speed. We can use a CV in to set the frequency as well. And the last mode is a trigger cloud. You can hear these two outputs just sort of triggering away by themselves. We've got a gate input, we can set the density, and then we get a cluster out and a gate out. We've got LFO frequency on the top. Density. So fairly steady, and then the density. Remember, this is triggering drum sounds. This could be used for anything. Advancing sequencer steps, triggering a sample and hold, going into a divider, firing off envelopes. We've then got the randomness with a random LFO. So there we have it. The PWM modes, the chiptune, retro gaming type stuff, tonal clusters, LFO modulated vibrato through FM type stuff, an FM mode, two different noise modes with that great sort of down-sampled, low bitrate noise, nice and grainy. And then we've got the clock switching where we can divide down a clock and flick between the different rates, the trigger cluster, and the current mode, the trigger cloud. So lots of stuff in the noise to brain adapter. Hit like and subscribe for more videos every week, and check the Patreon link below to see how you can support my channel.